bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here, I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together, it's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
The Gemini Giant is one of the most iconic and popular muffler men. It is unique as it is the only remaining original fiberglass spaceman made by International Fiberglass Company in the early 1960s. About an hour south of Chicago, where Route 66 begins, is the rural community of Wilmington. In addition to retaining its historic charm, Wilmington is a community of people who like to get together and reminisce, and the launching pad is the perfect spot. We had a chance to sit down with Holly Barker and Tully Garrett, who shared their unique story with us. They are on a mission, and here it is in their own words.
We're here today with Tully Garrett and Holly Barker, and they are the owners of the launching pad in Wilmington, Illinois, and the Gemini Giant. So we're just going to talk a little bit about whatever you guys want to talk about.
Absolutely. Let's start from the beginning. That's always the best place.
That's
right?
awesome. Yep.
So our story starts, our backline story, because we wouldn't be here today talking to you if we couldn't tell you what our backline story was. I was a happily married man for 20 years with 2 boys, and Holly was happily married for nearly 15 years. And we had some young boys, and unfortunately our spouses passed from cancer. Holly's husband passed in
2014.
2014.
He was 41.
From melanoma, Jordan, and my wife, Nancy, passed in 2015 from cervical cancer. So I was left, and she was left with having to raise these young boys, and very difficult task, you know. You take your spouse out of the picture, so here I am at this point with a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old son, and Holly's up in Canada. She was up in Canada at the time with her husband when he passed. So our backline story is that we come from loss and grief, and in 2016, Holly and I met on a Facebook page of all pages on a grief-related forum, and I was scrolling down this forum and I saw her and I'm like, good God.
I had the same reaction about him.
This is somebody that I want to meet. So we met summer of 2016 in Tennessee, and instantly knew that we were soulmates. I mean, from the second we met, we knew that this was it. So in short order, about 6-7 months from our initial meeting, she moved up from North Carolina. She'd moved from Canada down to North Carolina, and decided to move up to Chicago here, Chicagoland area. And so here Holly and I are in the Chicagoland area. I live 20 minutes up the road, okay? I'm 55 years old, and I've never been to this town of Wilmington. I knew nothing about Gemini Giant. I knew nothing about muffler men. I lived right on Route 66, but we called it Route 53. And I never knew it was the same. So that's kind of typical protocol all up and down the road. It seems that the people across these love 66 and they gravitate to it. Here it's in our own backyard and we don't. So we're trying to change that. But anyways, the dynamic is she moves up here, and I had sold insurance for 35 years, slinging insurance policies through a family-run agency. Holly was in pharmaceutical with Abbott and Eli Lilly selling, she's a drug dealer, selling drugs for these pharmaceutical companies. So she was no longer doing that. I was no longer selling the insurance. And one day I posted on Facebook, real simple, I want to go antiquing. Where can we go find antiques? And over resounding was, go to Wilmington, Illinois. Their whole downtown is antiques. So that's what we did. We hopped in the car, come putzing down about 30 minutes down south of New Lenox where we live, and we came around this curve. And the very first thing, and you'll remember this, the very first thing is when we came around the curve, I love Tennessee with a passion. It's God's country. And as we came around this curve, I go, Holly, this feels like Tennessee. I don't know what it is. But after that rolled off my lips, the next thing was like, whoa, what is that thing? And over to our right, coming around the curve, the Gemini Giant is the very first thing you see. And he's intimidating. He's 28 feet tall, and he's right there. So we, in essence, pulled off into the parking lot. There's about a dozen cars in the parking lot, building in shambles, right? And we get out, and we notice about a dozen people lollygagging, taking pictures, and we're kind of confused, right? And I go to this guy, and I say this all the time because this is kind of what sold me on it. I go to this guy with this real thick and strange foreign accent. I go, "Where are you from, sir?" And he goes, "Egypt." And I go, "What are you doing in Wilmington, Illinois?" And he points and he goes, "The Gemini Giant." So he came all the way from Egypt to see the Gemini Giant. And so he spoke to people from that day from the UK, Amsterdam, Germany. And so we just hung out in the parking lot, mesmerized. Why are all these people coming here? Still not a clue what he is. So after about an hour, I said, let's go antiquing. We're getting ready to go back in our car, which is on the other side of the building, and there's a for sale sign in the window. Now, you couldn't even see inside the window. It's been shut down for 5 years. Roof caved in, parking lot of shamble. The building was literally falling in on itself. And Holly's looking in there.
I'm like, it's a restaurant.
And then she looks over to me, and I say this all the time. Had she said, "Tully, let's buy this," I would have said, H to the no. Not doing it. Don't want a restaurant, not interested in it. She said, "We should save this place." And I stopped for a second when she said that. And I thought, you know, Arnold's on Happy Days, meeting places, the 50s, the 60s, cars, music. And I said, you know what? Let's do it. Because I'm a preservationist. I love old things. I'm always looking in my rearview mirror in life, looking back at old things, not in the now or in the future. So that's what we did. We decided in October to buy it of 17. And then where's the story start from there? That's where it really begins. But the backline story is real important because we wouldn't be here now had all of those dynamics fallen into place at the exact perfect time from the creator above.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I saw, and it was, we didn't realize the attraction that it had in the, you know, in the regional market in the United States and abroad. We were looking at it from a personal perspective. And I was seeing, he loves preservation, I love preservation. I was seeing the room that we're sitting in here now. I have a national grief support organization, and I was like, this is the perfect place for me to hold my meetings. We saw it as an opportunity. He's a car guy, so we saw this as an opportunity for him to have car shows and have fun with that. And then I had been in the restaurant industry for 10 years, and I always had this little dream in the back of my head. Wouldn't it just be cool to have a little cafe? I could run it easily. I mean, it's something that I enjoy doing. And so I was like, all of the things that we need to restart our life and have a new life are here. And so we bought it for personal reasons. And then all of a sudden, when we did that, it kind of exploded. And it's sort of like opening up a positive Pandora's box. Then we started seeing all these associations and all these things that were coming at us. And it was just, I feel like in a way, from a spiritual perspective, that it was waiting on us.
Yes.
Yes. I really do. And so we're trying to recreate good memories, new good memories for other people who have had experiences here, and it's happening every day. I mean, we have people coming in the door, oh, like you're saying, I met my wife and we used to go on our dates
and
there.
That booth right there.
And I remember my grandfather used to bring me here and blah, 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 and just all these great stories, and we hear them all the time. So we're creating new memories, and then these people can come in and experience it for the first time if they're from a foreign country, or they bring, the people that were here in the past as children are now able to bring their kids here.
Yes, we see a lot of that.
So we see a lot of positive energy happening here, and it's been a wonderful experience. It hasn't been easy. This place was a complete teardown when we bought it, so we literally had to gut the kitchen. And
the kitchen?
Well, a lot of everything, but we kept the front of it opened and very similar to how it was in the very beginning, but we had to totally redo the kitchen, and then we've kind of repurposed the back end of the restaurant for everything that that we wanted to use it for. Plus, my interest is travel, Tully's interest is collecting, so we have the museum with all of his artifacts, and then I'm networking with the tourism industry to be able to do more in terms of local
Tours originating from the pad.
things of that nature. So we see this as a multi-functioning, multi-purpose destination location for people.
Remind him of our original mission statement was real easy. We literally were going to buy this. I did the math. I came back the next day with a legal sized tablet and I sat in the parking lot for 8 hours and I counted the number of cars that came in. I went out, pretended I really owned the place. Hey, how are you? Where are you from? And did a little bit of due diligence myself. And then I started getting online and pricing out shirts and mugs. And I came back and I go, Holly, all we have to do is sell 5 or 10 t-shirts a day. We can sit in the booth up front, drink coffee, spike a little Baileys, hang out, have a good time, and meet people and pay our bills.
And that was our
mission statement.
goal.
That was it. That was our goal. The thing we did though is that we started an unofficial Facebook page for the launching pad back when we were considering. So we're looking at buying an old diner. What are your thoughts on it? And the page absolutely exploded. We found out that this building truly was the Arnold's from Happy Days, that people came here on Fridays and Mondays and football games and prom. So it really was an important part, another dynamic we weren't aware of. So we fast forward, we spent about 1.5 years. We spent all last year running this as a gift shop.
Drained our 401ks to buy
Yes,
it, by
yeah.
the way. And
Yeah,
that
so-
was a very good decision.
Well, like Holly said, we took our money off Wall Street and we invested it in Main Street. And the bottom line is that it has come back and it's paying off. People go to McDonald's and Burger King's. God bless those places. I've been there, but they go there. It's filler food to hang their rear on a seat to eat and leave. That's it. Here they come and they sit down. They don't want to leave. They're here on average 45 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours. They're people watching. It's a real sense of community. It's a real sense of the way things used to be in slower and more simpler times. So we fast forward, we do all this, we get the kitchen open in February. I'm very proud of it. We opened, first week in February was Holly, her son Jackson, myself, and 2 people. Right now we're at a staff of 26 people in 3.5 months. People are coming from all over the world, locally, regionally, lots of press, which we're happy to see. There's a renaissance taking place on Route 66 right now, and people are gravitating to the old Mother Road. And so all of this is a culmination of us working long hours, but also knowing that none of it would be possible if it weren't for a statue that sat out in the parking lot for many years and has become, over those many years, iconic. Okay? The story in the Giant, and we need to talk about him because he's really the pivotal part, right? Is that back in 1956, this originally was a tiny little 600 square foot ice cream place called Dairy Delight. They sold ice cream and they sold hot dogs. Their claim to fame is that on opening day for Grand Ribbon, they'd Hopalong Cassidy come out and cut the ribbon. So it was a very cool thing for the community. They continued to run it up through 1960 as Dairy Delight, and then a gentleman who I consider a visionary. I wish I could have met him. I really can. John Corlick and Bernice Corlick, they bought the building, and they changed the name to the Launching Pad because of Sputnik, the race to space, Russia, who could put the man on the moon first, and the Gemini space mission. So they changed it to Launching Pad in 60/61. In 65, they just so happened to be at a trade association show, restaurant trade association show, and there was a company called International Fiberglass. And if you're a muffler man, you're aware of their history. A lot of those things they had made were in my own backyard growing up as a kid. I didn't know the Sinclair Dinosaur, made by International Fiberglass. There's a famous chicken place here south of Chicago in Romeoville called White Fence Farm. They have a big rooster. That rooster is made by International Fiberglass. As well, Mobil gas station, they had this campaign, put a tiger in your tank, and there was fiberglass striped tigers at the front of these entrances, made by International Fiberglass, the Texaco Man, the Uniroyal Girl, all of these different concoctions made by International Fiberglass. So John bit the bullet. He paid $3,500 for this muffler man. Now, made by International Fiberglass, but never a muffler man. Held a rocket and was a space helmet, one of the very first of only 3 known to ever be made. So that was the equivalent back then of going out and buying a statue, cost of a brand new car. It really was. It was it's something that we couldn't afford to do today. But his thoughts were, you do come around that curve. This is Route 66A, and there's a lot of traffic, and so it was his sign, his billboard. He'd hoped that you'd get out of your car. I'm certain that's what he would thought, and look at this thing, and then I smell hamburgers, I smell French fries, I smell hot dogs, ooh, and you go in, and so that's what happened. But also,
And it worked.
and it absolutely it worked. But another facet people aren't aware of locally here is that there's swim clubs, camping clubs, hunting clubs, all up and down this route within about a 10-mile area. So people would come down during the summer and the fall and spring, right? And they go to these camping clubs and fishing clubs, and then they had to go back home to the burbs. And so they'd come by here, and this became a tradition, you know, fishing on the Kankakee River with Grandpa on a Sunday, and then coming in for an ice cream cone. Built lots of good memories, and it's I get choked up at times. People will come in, and the building, God, it means so much to people. You know, again, I met my wife there, or the Grandpa story or this story. So here he is. He's out here for all these years. Has not been taken care of very well, and so we did a little campaign about a month ago. We're not 100% complete yet, but we're almost there. We had some people come to the table and donate some time, and just to show you the power of social media and the power of this Gemini Giant, I called about a month ago. We needed a lift, a 40-foot lift to work on this guy. You can't do it off a step ladder or an extension ladder. Lord knows I'd try, right, Holly? But no, so I call up this company in Joliet, and I say, we need a lift. What do you need it for? Well, we got this Giant down in Wilmington. We're going to do a Giant. Is that the Gemini Giant? Yes. Hold on. Puts me on hold for a minute. Gets back. He goes, this lift runs for $750 a day or $1,500 a week. We're donating it to you for the cause. We want the Giant. We know about it. We want to help in any capacity. Then we have a painter. This painter from Lockport comes in and goes, hey, all my time and effort, it's on me. I'm gonna paint him. And then we get this famous guy, his name hence Famous Dave, who does pinstriping on custom cars. We reach out to him, and he hand-lettered the launching pad logo on the rockets. All these people came to the table and helped us. Granted, Holly and I put it together and orchestrated it, but we put it together, and we decided to backlight his helmet so his face lights up at night, and we put some beautiful uplighting on him, and we had a lighting ceremony about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was attended well. 60, 70, 80 people show up at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, and the hair stuck up on our arms. It was just, it's what he should have always had. So even though we come here and we call ourselves the launching pad, and this is Tully and Holly, and we're part of this whole thing, we've got our sons working here, it's all a good thing. When we pull up every day, we know it's all because of the Gemini Giant. He was named Gemini Giant 1965. They had a contest here locally in Wilmington. Age 6 to 18, ad in the newspaper, come up with a name. A girl named Kathy Thomas named him Gemini Giant. She won a $25 U.S. savings bond.
She was 6 years old.
6 years old, and she won a vanilla ice cream cone.
And the really cool thing was when we had our grand opening and the ribbon cutting and the mayor and all these people there, she was standing right beside me when we did the ribbon cutting. So Kathy was standing beside us.
We had her out. It was that important. She's shy, but we told her, you have to come out here because everybody worldwide knows who the Gemini Giant is. And so we're just grateful. And it's so weird. I can pull out a document and show you that we bought them. We own them. We got a bill of sale. But we don't feel like we own them, do we? I mean, we're his keeper for the short period of time that we're going to be here on Earth for 30 or 40 years. And we're just hoping that we can preserve him and perpetuate him. So in another 50 years, he's here. Another 100 years, he's here. Because here's what he does. He brings a lot of happiness, and it's just a material object of fiberglass sitting out in the parking lot. But to see people get out of their cars, and when they come in, they're going, "This is the one thing I've seen in books, I've seen in newspapers. This is what we've always wanted to come and see." Yeah. And it just warms our heart. It's the very first big attraction, and you're a big muffler man enthusiast. Where does he rate on the radar?
Right up there.
Yeah, right up there.
Well,
So
when you do a Google search of it shows up as one of the top 10 most Googled locations on Route 66, and we're not talking about that from an ego perspective.
No.
It was there before we even bought it.
It's true.
Yes.
And that's why it's so incredibly shocking to me that we own it, that it was like this for so long.
Well, this has been the highlight of our
That is awesome.
That is so cool.
That is
Wow.
awesome. So that's our story. We're going to stick to it, I think. But the big thing is that we have the restaurant open now. We've got the museum. We've got the gift shop. We got the Gemini Giant.
And we have our sanity.
Yeah.
And we lived.
Yes, we have our sanity.
Yeah.
Through the renovations.
We. Do you want to mention July 20th or no?
Yeah, you can.
Well, go ahead. I'll let you.
No,
since
you go
you're so
ahead.
madly in love with me.
The 20th of July is the 50th anniversary of man landing on the moon.
Oh, yes.
And Tully and I, of course, were together forever. There's no question about that. But we thought that would be just such a cool time for us to get married.
And announce our engagement.
And yeah, so we're not sure exactly all the festivities and exactly what we're going to do, but still, it's a part of our lives now. He's our family member. So.
And so to be under them and just to commit and say, hey, even engagement, marriage, whatever we're going to do something. I mean, we're not going to go home in separate cars. but to do that on July 20th, and of course, I'm always about the theatrical part of it. So I want to get a big screen, a blow-up inflatable screen out there, and I want to time sync it with the actual footage of Armstrong and Aldrin coming out, and them the second their foot touches that. At 4:28, 6:20. I better find the time out first.
You'll either ask me to marry you or we'll say I do. We haven't figured out.
Yeah,
which
we'll
yet.
figure something out. But that's it. So we're excited. We're excited to bring more eyes and ears back to Route 66. So it's not a one-sided thing. We're looking at this as spreading and getting information out as a whole to create more excitement for Route 66. And if other people watch what we're doing and say, hey, there's a lot of shuttered businesses all up and down 66 through all 2,400 miles. Lots of opportunity. They go, if you roll up your sleeves and work hard, this is kind of what you can do. Then that's the big thing. You'll be able to take something that is how we've always said, bring it from its ashes back to its grandeur and glory.
Wow.
It's a lot of work, but it's well worth it.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
What a great story.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much.
You're welcome.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me, we're meant to be